Hi all, today we will discuss a Spring Boot multiple choice questions answers. So what all are the MCQ questions interviewer may ask? So these all are the questions which we will discuss here. So the first question is a Spring Boot is used for developing. So a Spring Boot is used for developing all of this like web development, distributed application, microservices and all of above. So which one will be the correct answers here? So here the correct answers will be all of above. The second question is what is a Spring Initializers? So a Spring Initializers web-based tools to bootstrap a Spring project and generate a project skeleton with the necessary configuration and dependency. So this is the correct answers for this. The third question is what does a Spring Boot do to simplify the configuration of a Spring based application? So automatically configure necessary beans and dependency. The correct answers. And the next question is how can a Spring Boot applications be packaged and distributed? So packaged and distributed is a jar, word, zip and all. So this will be the correct answers, all of the above. Now the next question is which Spring Boot annotations is used to create a which Spring annotations is used to create restful web services using a Spring MVC. So restful web services using a Spring MVC. So this will be the REST controller. And the next question is at the rate REST controller annotation is a combination of the below two annotations. REST controller plus request body. Next question is which Spring annotation is used to handle HTTP post request? So post request will handle by the at the rate post mapping. The next question is which annotation is used to handle the HTTP get request? So answer is at the rate get annotation, get mapping. So which annotation, Spring annotation is used to handle the delete? So at the rate delete mapping. And which annotations is used to handle this HTTP put at the rate put mapping? So these all are the questions of a Spring Boot related. Now the next question is which annotation is used to mark the class as a service class and component? So at the rate service class, service annotation at the rate service annotation. And which default implementation class of the JPA interface? So JPA interface is a custom JPA repository class. So this will simple JPA repository class, which is the default implementation class of the JPA interface. So simple JPA repository class will be correct answer. And the next is which is the default HTML template in a Spring Boot? So theme leaf is the default HTML template. Now the next is which starter dependency is used to develop a web application or RESTful web services? A Spring Boot starter web. So this is the correct answer. And then what is the purpose of a Spring Boot actuator? To check the to provide the production ready features such as monitoring and metrics. So this is the correct answer. And the next question is how can you specify the port using a Spring Boot port on which a Spring Boot application run? So by using all either property, YAML or server dot port. So all of the above will be the correct answer here. And then what is the next question is what is the purpose of a Spring Boot dev tool? Dev tools automatically restart the application. So to provide this hot reloading code changes automatically. So B will be the correct answer here. The next question is what is the difference between a Spring and a Spring Boot? So a Spring Boot is an opinionated version of a Spring. It provides a set of default configuration. So this is the correct answer. And what is the difference? What is the default logging implementation offered by Spring Boot? So default logging implementation offered by Spring Boot logback was the default. What is the Spring Boot application annotation to enable the auto configuration? First is the correct answer A. And the next question is, which annotations Spring Boot provide for the integration testing? So Spring Boot integration testing, Spring Boot test annotation. And the next question is, which annotation is used for the unit test Spring MVC controller? So Web MVC annotation was there before in the Spring. And which Spring Boot annotation is used for the unit test Spring Data JPA? So Spring Data JPA for this. So Data JPA annotations, Spring Boot annotations. I think Data JPA annotations will be there. Yeah. And the next question is, what are the Spring annotation used for the exception? So exception controller, advanced exception handling, and response status all will be there. So the all of the above will be the correct answer here. And the minimum version used for the Spring Boot 3, Java 17 required for this Spring 3. So what is the difference between put and patch? So put is used to update the resource, and patch is used to create the resource. No, put is complete update the existing resource, but patch is only one field specify the resource. First will be the correct answer.